No kidding. Fewer guests, very few guests create this much excitement. In the hallway, people come out of offices. I mean, mention her name and you're in for an all-night conversation. This is truly one of the remarkable personalities of the entertainment business today. Is there a cover she hasn't been on or isn't on? Please welcome Cher, right here. I believe. Disco sound, and that moves pretty good.
I try and move pretty good when I can.
You are, America's really very, very taken up with you, as evidenced by the fact that you may be the #1 cover girl of the last couple of years. I don't know. You're right. I think you've moved past Charlie's Angel.
I'm kind of neck and neck, as it were, with... there's 3 of us, Jacqueline Onassis, Farrah Fawcett, and myself.
How's that feel? You know, we all make fun.
Kind of stupid. It feels a little stupid.
Why?
I don't know.
The funny thing is, though, for all of the knocks that gets,
yes,
there's only one reason you're on those, because you sell. So, and that is as honest a criteria of popularity as there is, however much we all sit around and say, isn't it awful, these terrible magazines, and they say, which one are we on?
Yes, I do that. I mean, I look at the Star and the Inquirer and stuff just to see myself or see the pictures or, just because I'm curious.
You've never been knocked around real badly, have you, by those men?
I think, well, my life has been bizarre, as all of us know, and, but I think for the way I lead my life, I've gotten pretty fair treatment from the press. I don't think you ever get fair treatment from the press, actually, but I think that for as long as I've been around, I've been doing this, God, since I was 16 years old, and I'm 33 now. And for as long as I've been around and for the strange things that I have done, or appearingly strange things I've done, I've gotten pretty fair coverage.
You've been unusually honest in terms of all, what's happened to you personally and on the air. Has that served you well? What I mean to say is,
I think in the long run it has. Sometimes it doesn't seem to serve me well at the time, but I believe that in the long run, it's like, I think when you lie, it catches up with you somehow. If you tell the truth, people might not like what you're saying, or they might not like the truth, but eventually they'll come to respect, maybe not you, what you do, the decisions that you make, but at least that they know that you're trying and that you're going to be honest no matter what happens.
Yeah. You've always been right near, you're the person who has stood there occasionally surrounded by bad news, and you always come out okay.
Yes.
I mean, you're never, isn't that something?
Well, I have a friend that said, you can always fall in up to your neck, and somehow you just come out smelling like a rose, and somehow it just happens.
You don't take drugs at all, do you?
No.
And you never did you?
No. I must say that, I mean, I smoked marijuana a couple of times. Drugs don't agree with me, I know that. And also, I've never seen it really do anything beneficial to anyone that I've known that has taken it. I don't drink either. I mean, I believe that drinking is not right. I don't know. I think for a lot of my views that are very liberal on that, I'm not very liberal at all. I just don't think I don't think it helps you.
Do you have to be in a relationship to be happy?
No. I mean, I can be happy by myself, but I like a relationship. I don't like really dating. I like to be with one person at a time. However long the time is, I'd rather be with one person for a particular time.
What's dating? You mean when...
I don't know. Would you like to go to dinner? Or, 5 guys ask you, would you like to go to dinner? And it's real boring and... I don't know. But do you know how many millions of women would like to have that kind of boring? That's the thing. I think I'm too old for that kind of stuff. I just don't... I don't want to go out with a whole bunch of guys that I might be bored with over dinner just to go out to dinner, I would rather wait. I would rather wait until there's somebody who I think is interesting and who I can really talk to and that kind of stuff.
When you were you like that, huh? Well, how can you tell unless you go out to dinner with the guy? I mean,
I can tell in 3 minutes.
Really?
Yes.
Honestly?
Yes.
Could you give us some help here? Maybe, well, no.
I don't know. It just has to do with, well, I should have listened to my intuition. The first time I ever went with Gregory Allman, we went out to dinner, and we were talking, and I kept saying, God, this is real boring. There must be something more interesting. And finally I left. I said, you know, it was a really nice time, but I don't think that we were right for each other, and I'll see you later. I got in my car and left.
Right after the dessert?
I didn't even make dessert. I just said, you know, this is not happening. I'm going. And then the next day I couldn't work. So something happened, and he called me back about 10 o'clock that night and said, you know, I've never had such a horrible time with anybody, but I can't stop thinking about you. Would you like to go out with me? And I said, yeah, I really had an awful time too. It was crazy.
Well, what's the point now? Here the 3-minute warning didn't work, or did work, or over the long term it didn't. Well,
there was something extra there. I think in everybody's life, I'm not sure, but there's maybe one person in everybody's life that they love so much and nothing makes sense, but the feeling is so good that you're just not going to give it up until you've just exhausted every possibility. And somehow with him, that's what happened to me.
Yeah, I can't understand how it could be such a boring evening and you could have such a wonderful feeling.
It wasn't a wonderful feeling. What he said to me is, you know, no one's ever treated me the way you did. And I thought, you know what, no one ever treated me the way you did. And something about the negative side of it, you know, it was interesting. It's like fire. You know, you're going to get burned, but somehow it looks so beautiful, you might like to try it for a minute.
Is there ever a dinner where everything's right and it really is right forever in the long term?
You mean for me or for everybody?
Well, for you.
I don't know. Mine don't seem to come in that kind of Doris Day, Rock Hudson stuff. Mine are, I don't know. It's so strange. You know what? Everybody I've ever gone out with, I ended up going out with. I mean, for a long time. I've never really just gone out with someone and then, like, seen them 3 times. I mean, I spend, like, a year with everyone I go to dinner with.
Well, is it possible that then you will never really have what we would call a traditional lifetime relationship?
That is possible.
And how are you dealing with that possibility? When did you discover that that was possible?
I think maybe lately.
In other words,
lately I've decided, because I'm very happy, you know, it's very strange because I have very polarized feelings inside myself. I like being with one person, but I have my children, so if I never marry again, I think I'll be all right. But I like being with people, but I also get bored with people quickly. You know, so I don't know. It's like I like being with one person as long as it lasts. It's good, and I don't expect anything to last forever.
Right. Well, most people in that kind of traditional relationship would say that obviously it has its rewards, and for most people there are peaks and valleys to it, but there are times when you wondered what you saw in this guy, you know, I'm sure, and he and she, so on. So given the difficulty of fulfilling the expectations of parents who would like to see us all have a bungalow and and he works for IBM and you got a station wagon and all those things that go, and 3 kids, and given the difficulty that it is to hold a relationship like that together, I think there's a temptation to say, oh, no hope for you, because you're glamorous, you're pretty, you've got money, you've got all those people giving you attention, and you've seen this sort of candy store world that so many unhappily married men fantasize about. You're never going to get into the discipline of a lifetime relationship.
Well, I don't know. I was married for 11 years, and I don't think about it that way. I mean, I'm not a very disciplined person on one hand, and yet I am very disciplined on the other hand. I mean, it's like I'm a lazy person who works very, very hard, you know. I don't think I'd want to do it, but somehow work is always there and I'm always doing it. And with a relationship, I don't know. I would like to be with one person forever, but I think everyone would like to be with one person forever. Yeah. But if you listen, I mean, if you look at the statistics, it's not just entertainers that are getting divorced, it's everybody, you know. I would love to be able to be with one person. There's so much security in being with one person. But I don't know. I don't think it'll destroy me if I'm not with one person. I will be strong which way, you know, whatever happens.
Do you feel better now that you've sort of dropped that goal? Or I assume you had the goal.
I haven't dropped it. Yes, well, you know my mother. So my mother was married, oh my God, 8 times, I think. You know, so when I met Sonny, I thought I'll only be married once, and I'll never be married more than one time. I don't think that was very realistic of me. It was something that was an ideal, but I don't think it was realistic. And I've stopped thinking about if you get married and divorced as being a failure or a success. I just think it's a little bit, it's a rash way to think about something that's so human and so emotional.
Yeah, yeah. Your mother's well. You know, she was on our show.
Yes, I know.
Crazy about you, and you grew up in El Centro, California?
No, I was born there. I was a month early. They were just driving through, and so and so that's what happened.
No,
but,
really?
Yeah,
was her first husband, I assume?
Yeah, it's my father.
Mm-hmm. Well.
And so they were driving a truck through, and I was born, and then they came back to Los Angeles. My mother was married 8 times, and I don't ever remember a man being in the house.
You met Sonny when you were 17 years old?
I met Sonny when I was 16.
And you married him when you were?
17.
Wow. I would have been so angry with you if I were your father. I mean, were they upset? 17.
No, I've never been close with my father. I met him when I was 11, so it wasn't my father. My mother was very angry because she said, even then, my choices have been strange. My mother said, he's older and he's been married, and look at the way he looks, his hair, his clothes, you know. And she said, don't do this. My mother was of the school, it's as easy to fall in love with a rich man as it is a poor man. And Sonny was very poor, and I was real in love with him, and so it didn't make any difference. But she wasn't going for it. My mother wasn't, she was never very crazy about him.
Mm-hmm. That didn't change over the years?
Actually, no.
But as a matter of fact, you had a good relationship for a decade.
With Sonny?
Yeah, I mean, it was...
Yes, I did. It was amazing. Sonny is one of the most amazing men I've ever known. And he was like my family. He was like a mother, father, sister, brother. He's a very complicated person. He's not that little cute guy that, you know, is on television at all times. I mean, that is definitely a side of his personality, but he is very, very strong and very, very Italian.
Mm. Yeah. All right. Have you ever been fat?
When I was pregnant.
And the children are aged?
10 and 3.
Mm-hmm. Any signs of showbiz?
Chastity wants to be a psychiatrist, and I think that Elijah is going to be in show business.
The smaller child?
Yes.
Singer, what?
I don't know, he's really musically inclined. He sits down and plays the drums and plays on the piano and sings and plays the guitar, and I mean, it's scary because he's been like carrying a tune. Before he could talk and he wanted to watch Sesame Street, he would come up and sing me the melody to it. So we would turn on the television for him. So he's really into it.
We are in Chicago with Cher, and we'll give you a chance, and we'll be back here in just a moment.
Yeah.
Title Prisoner. This will get you some comments, you know.
Yes, I know. You just told me that.
Well, we'll talk about it later.
Okay.
Yes, I'm coming back here. Yes, ma'am.
I was shocked when you walked out and your hair was cut short. What made you decide to get it cut short? I thought that was kind of your trademark, your long black hair.
I was being crazy one day, about a year and a half ago, I guess, and I decided I would get a permanent, so I had it cut to about here and a permanent. And then I went to London, and this guy said, no, my dear, you know, you need another permanent, that's not right. Anyway, I came back to the United States looking kind of like I had cotton candy for hair. So right before I spent a week with Mike Douglas, and right before I did it, this guy just cut my hair off like about 1/4 of an inch all the way off, so I get all the permanent off, so I'm letting it grow. It was horrible, too. It's very difficult because everybody's very disappointed, and so for me to have to walk around now without my hair is it's a real interesting experience for me to, you know, it's good. In a way, it's really good because sometimes you rely on things that aren't really important to be who you are.
Yes.
Well, I just want to say that I never really thought much of you. I always, knew who you were and all that. But since you've been on today and you're so honest, I think you've just really turned my opinion. Not that it matters, but I mean, I think you're terrific. I really do.
Thank
You understand that, don't you? I mean,
Yes, I do.
there's very little middle ground with you. You said, I think you have a love-hate relationship with the American people.
Yes.
Well, how do you explain that?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's real important. It's like when you said I understood what that lady was saying, I really did. It's not so important on the long scale how much you think of me, I mean, it's okay. It doesn't really make me angry because I know that the judgment that you're making is not really on me personally. It's on what I've done and what you think that I am and all that stuff. So I can understand that. Usually, when you're a performer, you don't get to show everybody everything, and so maybe the stuff that you show them they don't like, or maybe the stuff that you show them they do like. I've never been a performer that was kind of shades of gray. I'm real black and white. So you either really like me or you think, my God, that she's out of her mind, or I can't stand her, or stuff like that. I understand that because it's like a Ford. You either like it or you don't, and somehow that's what I turned out to be, a Ford.
How'd you get so secure in a business so filled with vanity and insecurity and please everybody love me?
I'm not. I'm real insecure, but I know it. I know that I'm really insecure, so it seems easier to handle. And also, I get a good look at people because people are busy thinking that they're seeing me, and when people are busy thinking something different than what's happening, I get a chance to see everybody really the way they are. And so it gives me great insight into what's happening.
Do you have a stereotypical view of Midwest women?
Do I what?
Have a stereotyped view of Midwestern women? Think about
Sometimes I think I wouldn't want to be a criminal on a jury with them. I don't know why, but that seems to come to mind.
Yeah, tell me why.
Well, I'm not sure why. I think because this is really interesting. This is interesting about me. I was thinking that sometimes people tend to judge you the way you look, and that's really, I guess, what I do with people in the Midwest. They don't look exactly like I do, and so I think, oh, God, this is going to be real hairy.
I think you're close to saying that they're rather judgmental.
I don't know if that's really true. I guess from watching this show, I've picked that up. I mean, I've seen all the ladies, and a lot of times they're not laid back about saying if they like something or they don't like something, and they're a little bit more middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the day that I saw those two ladies that were living together from Seattle. Your ladies, I mean, it was pretty typical.
These are women who left their husbands and
Yes.
have their own lesbian relationship and have adopted the children
Yes.
by their preceding marriages.
And actually, I guess what it started out to be in the audience was much different than what it turned out to be at the end. But I think that made me a little bit nervous.
I take it that you think we Midwestern women, and I am one of them, are rather puritanical, but I have a question of you, and I'm very interested. How do you keep your navel in shape?
I have to reassess my judgment of Midwestern women. Well, you know what? I work out. I never used to have to do anything, but now I run and I exercise, and I have to keep the older I get, the more I really have to work to keep myself together.
Yes.
Hi, I've always liked you.
Thank you.
And my daughter's an avid roller skater. I know you skate, and I
Yes.
would like to know if you have built your roller rink in California.
Actually, I haven't, because somebody else built one, and it's not doing too well. So I started roller skating in L.A. and at this real funky rink out in the valley, and it became a real big thing, and these other people spent millions of dollars on this gigantic, gorgeous thing, and everyone still keeps going to the valley. So I think we're going to just keep it out there. And I love it. I think it's real, real healthy for you, and it's a good thing you can do with your kids, too.
Cher, did your feelings inside prompt your title or your for your album, Prisoner?
Well, yes, kind of. when we started doing the album cover, we had different thoughts in mind, and it was going to be, there was a guy standing next to me, and he had a big sword, and on the sword it said press. And I've always kind of, I mean, I'm a willing prisoner, you know, it's like, I'm here because I want to be, and sometimes, though, it feels like I couldn't get away if I wanted to, you know. But that's my choice, and it's like, it's a very light, it's not very heavy-handed prisoner, it's just, you know, I know I am.
I think it's fun to be a celebrity.
I think it is, too. I don't know any other way, though.
Yeah. Well, I do. Obviously, there are times when it isn't fun, but there are times when it isn't fun being President of the United States, yes, or Elizabeth Taylor, or whatever, name it. And I'm curious to know why so many celebrities go out of their way to tell the public that it's a pain in the neck. Yeah. I'm not making fun of them, and I shouldn't suggest that they're being deceptive. It's just that there is something, I think, kind of ungrateful about that. And yet I don't want to impose my ethics on them.
I think that one thing that people think that if you have power, are rich and famous, that nothing should go wrong in your life. And I think that, I honestly believe that many people struggle to have the American dream. Few people achieve it. And it's like going to the top of a mountain. You get to look over and you tell the people back there, it's really nice, but it's not everything we thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. Reaching your goals is much more fun, or trying to achieve them sometimes is a lot more fun than achieving them. I can't knock it because I love it, you know. I mean, I'm happy that I'm doing what I'm doing. I won't always do this, though, because for me there are other things that I want to do that haven't got very much to do with what I'm doing now. Yeah. But I think that it's important for people to know that being famous, it's like a job. It's like working at the bank. It's not a lot different, you know. It really isn't. I mean, you work hard and it's a more glamorous existence, but it's still work, and still things can go wrong in your life.
Do you think about not being a hit?
Yes. Well, because that's the obvious thing to think about.
Well, but gosh, you just, I mean, you've been through 2 marriages and 2 divorces, and a lot of attendant negative publicity, like, you know, the drug problems that some people around you have had. You know, you are a public relations man's nightmare. You were for a while.
Yes, I mean, my guy quits on me every week. Yeah. We've been friends for years, but he always quits and says, I just can't handle it, you know, I've had it with you, and also the interviews that I give, and, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah. Did you say that you were leaving Sonny for another woman?
Yes.
Now you said, I blew the line.
Yes.
Tell him what, because it's a great...
I said, well, you see, that's, I mean, I'm always quoted like that, and I said I was leaving Sonny for another woman and that it was myself, because living with Sonny was impossible to ever become me. It was Sonny and Cher, one word, and Sonny was so strong that it was very difficult for me to be anything by myself. I mean, I could go on the show and be very witty and you know, and shoot him down, but at home it was really different, and it was a little bit difficult for me to live. It was fine when I was 16, but as I started growing up, it was very oppressive, and I just didn't feel like it after a while.
Well, now, are you ever going to get yourself there again, where a man, apparently Sonny really made most of the decisions then in that relationship, is that right?
Sonny made all of them.
All right. And are you in the business of avoiding that kind of relationship now, or have you thought about it, or isn't it something you can be conscious of?
I think that subconsciously, I want someone who's really strong, but I don't want someone who's going to, you know, put their foot down on me so that I can't be me.
But how do you, you know, if you were able to adapt to that sort of second-class, subservient role for 10 years, and, you know, you don't just change.
I did quickly. I mean, I changed in about, well, see, when I met him, I was exactly the opposite. But Sonny has a way of taking over. And so I just kind of, it was like being in a cocoon for 11 years. Mm.
And you're determined you're never going to be there again?
No, because it's too difficult. I don't think people should have to live that way. I think you should have your freedom at all costs. I think that freedom is more important than anything else.
Hmm. And you've got it now, huh? Mm-hmm. Now this narrows the guys, doesn't it?
Yeah, except I don't want to, I mean, I don't want anybody who isn't worth having, so it doesn't make any difference. All you need is one.
We'll be back in just a moment. Let me just show you. This is the first album she and Sonny ever made. And what were you going to say? What year would this be? 71?
No, that would be 1964.
Oh, wow. Oh, 71 was the TV show.
Yeah.
70. What's the story on this picture back here? There's a picture of you and Sonny laughing.
We were hysterical. There was this little girl next to us, and her father wanted her to take a picture with us, because at the time we made the album, we weren't famous, but I guess he thought we were going to be, and he kept trying to get her to stand near us, and she was about 4 years old, and she kept picking her nose, and he wouldn't take the picture, and Sonny and I just finally got hysterical. I mean, it was just ridiculous.
I wondered if you could tell us...
Your kids always embarrass you. They'll never act right. When the big moment comes, they'll never do what you want them to do.
Your new album cover is very interesting. Could you tell us the mechanics of photographing that?
Yeah, the mechanics of photographing that album. It was a very big sound stage, and there were about 30 people around, more people than have ever been around. And that was the first time I've ever had no clothes on in front of 30 people. I was real nervous. And actually, you can't see anything. I think that's interesting in the picture.
Yeah.
It's better not to see. If you see it, it kind of takes it away, but...
I like that. Yes. Understand, please?
Cher, do you feel a certain type of pressure to do the kind of music you sing, or do you enjoy it, or would you rather be singing something else? I would imagine there's quite a bit of pressure to do things like disco or whatever. Would you rather sing something else, or do you really enjoy it?
This album, for me, is I think, the beginning of something that I really like to do. I don't like to have to put a label on rock and roll music. I mean, I know disco is really, you know, that's like it's a big word and has been for a long time. I like doing the music that I'm doing on this album a lot because it's more rock and roll, and that's, since I started, that's what I wanted to be. You know, that's what Sonny and I kind of were when we started out in the business. And so I like to be able to do anything I want to do. I like to be able to sing ballads and rock and disco and everything, because that just makes me happy.
Yeah. Are you still designing any of your clothes? And could you stand up so we could see your outfit?
Sure. Well, let me fall over. I don't design my clothes. Bob Mackie designs all of my clothes. This little number is I bought the jacket and then took it and had it studded. So it's just, and it's so hot. It's so hot, I'm dying.
Cher, I'd like to see you in some movies. Anything coming up?
I'd like to see me in some movies, too. I'm working on it. I bought the rights to an old film. When I was 11 years old, I saw this film with Dorothy McGuire and Robert Young called The Enchanted Cottage, and I bought it, and I will be doing a remake of that in next year.
Mm. Who will be Robert Young?
I will be Robert Young. I play the Robert Young part.
So, serious?
Yes, it's very serious.
Well, who'll be the male, then, lead?
I don't know. I'm working on that now. See, with a good script, you get good males.
Yes, ma'am.
And regarding the time spent with your children, I heard you once say that it was the quality and not the quantity. Could you tell me what you base this on?
Because, well, first of all, it sounds good. And secondly, it's really true. I don't have every single day to stay home with the kids and be there. I mean, I see them every day, and I spend time with them every day, but I don't have all day long to be with them. And I think all working mothers must feel guilty about that. I know that I do. I mean, no matter how I try and rationalize it, I feel that I should be giving them more. But I know that when I'm with them, I give them my full attention, and I do things that I think is really beneficial. If I can't spend all day with them, the time that I give them is real important.
Cher, I've got two questions. One is, are you going to be on TV at all this coming season? And the other is, what kind of diet and exercise regime do you have to go on to stay as nice as you look?
I'm going to do the Muppet Show this year, and I'm going to do Saturday Night Live. I won't have a special of my own this year. And I like to, if I'm really in good shape, I run 2 miles a day and I work out for about an hour and a half. I take dance class, and usually I'm working at that time. I've been on the road now this whole year doing Las Vegas and stuff like that. When I do that, the show takes a lot out of me, so I don't, you know, that's like working 3 hours a day, and that's what I usually spend. And I enjoy doing it. I'm very physical. I have a lot of excess energy. If I don't do that, I get very, very unhappy and nasty. And everyone tells me, please go run, go do something.
2 miles you run?
Yeah.
Where does Cher, this highly visible person, run 2 miles without stopping traffic?
I go to like a gym or a high school that's got a track. Pepperdine is right up by my house, so I go there usually.
Yes.
Did you take disco lessons, and how long do you think disco will be around?
I've never taken any lessons to do anything that I do. I pick it up kind of, and I don't know, people like to dance, so I think that it'll be around for a while, but I don't think it's going to be as popular as it has been now, because there's kind of a disco backlash happening.
Is it true you have over 100 pairs of shoes, and do you ever wear them again?
Oh, God, I think I have more than 100 pairs of shoes. When I was a little girl, I had one pair of shoes that I used to wear out until the soles were flapping, and so I have a real thing about shoes and clothes, and I think I buy them, and sometimes I don't wear them, which is real awful, but it has to do with something that's a lot deeper than buying shoes.
Oh. I'd like to know what happened to those furry jackets that you and...
I still have mine. I still have my Bobcat. My God, I feel like the witch. I feel like Margaret Hamilton. I'm melting. I have mine, and Sonny, he loved his, and he loaned it to a friend to go to a Halloween party, and he never got it back, which broke his heart. But I have mine. I just kept mine.
That's what I remember.
Yes.
I'm expecting my second baby in February. I was wondering, when you delivered yours, if you did it naturally, the Lamaze method?
I did with Elijah. When I had Chastity, they didn't have it over here. And I did with Elijah, and God, it was a lot of fun. I had such a good time.
A good time?
It was really a ball. When I had Chastity, I went to sleep. I started having pains, and they put you to sleep, and the next thing I knew, it was the next day, and they said, you have a girl, and it seemed like it was too long. I mean, it was something happened that I wish, it was the blackout wasn't really nice. With Elijah, it was much, Gregory was there, and we were laughing, and it was real exciting, and I think it's so natural to have your husband there, and I'm sure that Sonny would have really enjoyed it too,
Yes, that's it.
I would like to ask why you named your children the names that you did.
Well, I don't know. I think they're beautiful names. When I had Chas, I got pregnant with Chastity while we were doing a film called Chastity. And I was pregnant with her for 3 months before I even knew it. I was so thin, and somehow it just stayed with me, and I just thought it was a real beautiful name. And Elijah, Gregory's grandfather was named Elijah, and so that's why we named him Elijah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Will you be slower to get married now, you think?
Oh, no. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Yes.
We know that you
like stand, please?
We know that you like Chastity's name, but what does she think about her name now that she's 10 years old?
I'll tell you something. Sonny and I were doing the show once, and we had Tennessee Ernie Ford on the show, and Chas, it was the end of the show, the beginning of the show, we were announcing who was going to be on, and Chas was about 2.5 years old, and she said, Tennessee Ernie Ford, what kind of a name is that? That's the stupidest name I ever heard. And I said, Chas, I have news for you. When you get older, people are going to start telling you. I think she doesn't think about it. I think that she thinks it's a real beautiful name, and I think that kids are a lot different, I almost beat a guy up once because he made fun of her name. I mean, I pulled him out of a dressing room, and Chas and I were we were at Fred Siegel's, which is a clothing store in Los Angeles, and we were trying on jeans. And she walked out, when you're putting on your pants and the kids just kind of disappear and you're looking for them. And I was yelling, Chastity, where are you? And I heard some guy say, Chastity? What kind of a name is Chastity? So I pulled up my pants. I walked through the thing, opened the curtain, and pulled him out by his collar. And he was taller than I am. I said, what do you mean?
Did he have his pants on? Or?
I didn't look. I wasn't interested in the lower part of his body. I got so furious. My blood just started to just boil. I was so angry with him, and he was really taller than I am. I said, what do you mean that's a funny name? And he went, no, lady, really, it's a beautiful name. I never heard it before.
Does she know what it means, though? I mean, my children asked me what chastity meant, and when I told them, my daughter said, I thought Carla was bad. And this is the age they all want to have a different name. If their name is
that
Carol,
she knows what it means, and I think that she likes it. But you have to understand, she's my daughter, so she's very different.
We're in Chicago with Cher, and we'll be back. It can be reached via the United States Mail at Post Office Box 4399, North Hollywood. The zip is 91607. Yes?
Yes, I'd like to say two things. Cher, first of all, you're much prettier in person, and I've watched... Watched all your shows. Second, editorially, if you understand that nothing is forever and there may be one man after another man after another man, why can't you go back to Sonny?
Oh, God. Well, because, you know, it's really strange. He moved in next door to me, and he said, Cher, I'm never going to let you get away from me. I think, Sonny and I have a relationship that really transcends being married, in my estimation. It's like, we're a relationship to each other that never has had a name, you know? It's like not brother, not sister, not husband. I'll always be close to him because, in a way, I've been closer to him than almost anybody I've ever known. Because I was with him in a very formative part of my life. You know, I was really a child when I met him still, and almost a child when I left because I didn't really make much progress in the time we were together. But I have a real understanding of him, and he has a real understanding of me, and we're close, you know? Even though we're not married, and we'll never be married, but we're very close.
Mothers everywhere would like to raise their daughters so that they don't have this kind of dependence that you clearly had on Sonny at age 17. I'm sure that you married him because somewhere you got the notion that that's what was safe and that's what you did.
I knew that Sonny would take good care of me, you know, and I loved him. I mean, there's no doubt of that, but it was a kind of love that was clearly not something that I was choosing. It was something that I felt that I had to take because I was really scared to go out on my own.
Are you making any conscious effort to ensure that Chastity does not get hooked in that early? And
I don't think she will. I don't know if that's a conscious effort, but she's a lot more independent even now. I want my kids to, I mean, I love my kids, but I think a lot of times mothers make their children a little too dependent so that they don't ever have to lose the feeling of being a mother. And I want my kids to love me, but I don't want them to need me so that they can't do anything on their own. I mean, I'll always be there for my children, and that will make me feel really good, but I want them to be able to be strong on their own.
Yeah.
I would like to know what dress size you are. What dress size I am? Well, let's see. I think I'm about a 6.
Uh-huh. Show off. You don't have to. Yes.
Did they not allow you to show your navel on the show one year?
No, but there was a big controversy about it, and it seems kind of silly, but no one had ever shown their belly button on television. Even I Dream of Jeannie had to put a cloth part over her little opening, you know. And so I said that I was going to. And that was, I mean, it was kind of like I was going to. Now, that's it. And
you don't understand what?
Why on the soap operas they let them be
show
in bed.
everything.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then at night I couldn't see your whole outfit, you know, what they had against it. I don't know. Because there's a lot of kids that stay home from school that watch that.
I know, or the news. I mean, there's a lot of things that don't make too much sense to me either.
Hi, Cher.
Hi.
I know you roller skate, but what other activities do you do to get away from the pressures of show business?
Well, I needlepoint. I like that a lot. And I play racquetball. And what else do I do? I go to the movies. I do lots. I mean, I do everything that everybody else does, you know, but I just do whatever I feel like doing.
Yeah. Yes, I'd just like to know how you compare yourself with Diana Ross. I know you're real good friends, yeah.
You know, I kind of, sometimes it's a great thing for me to know Diane because I know that she has the exact same problems that I do, and I always think if Diana can do it, I can do it too. So if I'm ever having a bad day or something like that, that it's a bad day in show business, or like Diana has 3 children and she takes them everywhere and she's really a good mother. So I know that, I mean, I don't compare us work-wise because I don't think that we really are comparable, but I compare us as people a lot. I get a lot of strength from her.
Cher, I was wondering about your son. We know Sonny takes good care of Chastity, but what kind of fatherly influence is Greg having over your son?
Actually, hardly any. They don't see each other very rarely. And, I mean, it's not a situation that it's not a situation that I like. It just is a situation that happens to be. Gregory is on tour almost constantly now, and also he lives in Florida, and I live in Los Angeles. And I don't know. I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but I think that fathers somehow can walk away from their children a lot easier than mothers can.
First of all, I'd like to say that I've been a great fan of yours ever since the beginning, and my opinion only gets better now that I've seen you in person, but I have one question. I want to know how tall you are.
I'm 5'7½".
I like to know if you...
I was a monster.
I like to know if you have any religious convictions.
Oh. Yes, I do, but I don't... I'll tell you something. I'm a very religious person, but I don't feel comfortable in any religion that I was a Catholic. I mean, my father was a Catholic. I've been to Catholic school. Somehow it just... I don't know. I think that God and religion is too important to put a lot of rules on. I feel it inside, and I know that it's there. It's not necessary for me to have to belong to any particular order for me to feel that I know something is there that I know is there. No one has to tell me.
Back to your wardrobe. I love your suspenders. How much do you spend approximately a year on your wardrobe?
A lot. Too much if you talk to my businessman. I spend a lot on clothes, but usually it works out because I usually work them. I mean, I wear them to work in, but I don't know. You have to, like my dresses, my work dresses cost from any place from like $2,000 to $5,000 a dress. And I usually have about, I don't know, 15 or 20 a year.
Yes.
Now that you've been, or that you have been married to an Italian, do you think you would ever have a relationship with another Italian?
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't. It depends. I mean, I don't. It's hard. Italians are very hard to live with. Yeah.
She knows. She's married to one, she said.
Sicilians especially. I mean, Sonny's father was from Palermo. And even Sonny now, you know, when Sonny left, I mean, when we split up and we talked about it later, he said, you know, it was really good for me what happened. He said, because I don't think I would have ever changed. And he said, people are a lot more liberal now. And it's hard for him to just let you get away with doing what you want to do, you know, or say, I'll see you in 3 hours. Sonny wants to know exactly where you're going, how long you'll be gone, if we can reach you in what, you know, in which place. So, I don't know. I mean, if I fell in love with an Italian, of course, I would just do the best I could.
Yeah.
Cher, seeing you today reminded me how much my whole family enjoyed your program with Sonny. And I just wanted to tell you that. We really loved it. It was great.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Cher, do you have a preference as to working in front of a live audience or in front of a television camera, and why?
I never wanted to work in front of a live audience. I never did it until this year, like going to Las Vegas or doing concerts. I really enjoy it, but it's so scary. It's so much more comfortable to work in front of a camera, although you don't get the same rewards. I mean, you don't give as much and you don't get as much. But it's nice to work in front of a live audience, but it's very hard. It's very scary.
Now, here.
Yeah, are you kidding? When I was sitting here in the beginning, I was sitting here and you were asking me something, I wasn't paying any attention. I was just thinking how nervous I was, and then all of a sudden it just kind of, it left. Because it's not normal or natural so much to get up in front of a whole bunch of people and have, I mean, like, I'm looking at you, but everybody is looking at me. It's a strange thing.
We're in Chicago with Cher, and we'll be back in a moment. Titled Prisoner, Cher. Yes.
Cher, I was in Cincinnati last weekend and I saw Gene Simmons. Were you down there with him?
What was it? I don't think so. No, I came to Chicago for the Chicago gig.
Oh.
It's the same thing. Did you went to see Kiss?
No, I saw the Beatles the next night.
She saw the Beatles.
Do you have an ultimate goal, or have you already reached it?
No, I haven't already reached it. I have an ultimate goal, but it has nothing to do with my profession. I don't really have any goals as far as my work is concerned. I have goals as far as my life is concerned, but not really too much to do with my work.
Yes.
Cher, you were saying you were married to Sonny for 11 years and that he was so dominating. I noticed when you said he was your mother, father, sister, brother, you never said husband figure. Was there a reason for that?
I don't know. I think at 16 I had no idea what a husband figure was. You know, I mean, to me, I mean, now that I know about relationships a little bit more, I know that husband was kind of the least part of it for Sonny and me. Sonny was more, I mean, I thought of him more as a parental figure than as a partner. I didn't have any say in the partnership, so I never thought about it as, you know, I mean, I went from my mother who was telling me what to do to Sonny who was telling me what to do, so I didn't get a very clear picture about what it was.
We have time only to thank Cher. You are some guest. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us. Have a nice day, everybody.
Services provided and promotional fees paid by the following. A whole new breed of Mustang 479. Dramatic sports car styling with precise handling and the spirit to take you where you want to go. Test drive the new breed Mustang now.
True Value hardware stores where quality, selection, and service are why they're #1. True Value is more than just a name, it's their way of doing business.
It's the woman's version of Playboy. On our next show, we'll meet the editor of the magazine, some of its most popular centerfolds, and their wives when we talk about men posing in the nude and women enjoying it. Join us.
Well, I don't know. I only came out to introduce the one and only Cher.
Oh, is that why you...
You just knew it.
Well, but then I was sure it wasn't. When, you know, and
when you said, man, not
you're a all dressed up. Look at me. I dressed this way because I thought you would be in your usual outfit, and then you go and do that. Well, hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
You look, it's growing out, too.
It is growing. I cut it once, but I have to carry a brush down my pocket because it's very hard to manage.
I like it that way.
Thank you.
I've been hearing such wonderful things about you through the grapevine, your Vegas appearance, your Universal appearance, and
yeah.